All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Flow Discourses podcast, a podcast made for the expansion of awareness, as you can see in the background, the expansion of wealth, power, and knowledge for every man and woman out there. I'm your host, Cygnus Flow, also known as Josiah Sedito, and with me today, I have a guest appearance. He goes by the name of Zay. And is your last name Willa? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, it's a part of my last name. It's half my last name, but it's Willa. Yeah,
Bet that's dope.
it's also yeah,
So, who is Zay? Well, as I know him, he is a b-boy, and for those who don't know what a b-boy is, it means a breaker boy, or in other words, a break dancer. But other than that, through my experience with him just of yesterday, he's an expert web designer as well as a fellow IMC Nation tribal leader in his own right. Welcome, brother.
yeah, man. Thank you so much, man. I'm really blessed to be here, and I've seen, of course, your podcast for a while now. Of course, just being part of the tribe and the group. I've seen you make flyers, so just to be here, man, is an honor.
And it's an honor to have you here, man. So for those watching, this topic is about finding your own niche. Now, those who may be watching may not even know what a niche is, but in particular, we're talking about an online kind of niche. So, can you break down like at least the basics of what a niche is and why it's so important in today's world and the future?
Yeah, well, everybody has particular gifts that they have and interests, and we always heard how things were a lot easier now than they've ever been. And with technology, it's helped everybody out. Everybody who has an idea, any idea, they can really go out there and really share it. So with everybody's niche that they've been having before the internet, now we're combining it with the internet. And there's so much tools and everybody doing it. And it just depends if you're really passionate about your niche or if you just have a great idea to make money. But niches, it's really important, especially when you're talking about niches, is understanding your audience, and when you understand your audience, you have to be very, very specific with what kind of audience that you're really talking to. So that's why, when people say niche, they try to generalize it very quickly just to understand it. But when you generalize it, you gotta get very specific with it. So I'm just trying to help everybody's dream come true in a sense that, if you want to work on your branding, on your particular niche, you want to stand out, what is the ways to doing it? In a sense, even we've seen with social media, people who stand out in their own ways, but how could you be more, how could people take you more seriously? How could you be more, look more official? How could your branding look all over? So I work with people with websites basically, and we try to make sure that their brand looks, the brand looks matches everywhere else. The website can really make you stand out. And I think that's really important in the world that if you think you're doing the same niche as somebody, for instance, then okay, you probably not compete on him on Instagram. But in terms of your branding on how you make your website and you make your content, then people will like you while you're getting specific, they get to know you as well. So that's why I love niches right now. And I see how powerful they actually are with a combination of understanding websites as well.
So it's almost like you're building your character, but like online, because
Yeah,
I mean, like today is like an online world. So whenever you go on Instagram or Facebook, you would see whatever people decide to put up or how they decide to portray themselves. Same thing with a niche, but in this, I guess you can say in this sense, it's almost like you're offering like a service or a product. And like you said, like
yeah,
when you get down to the specifics of thing is when you really find your audience.
yeah.
Now, how did you end up even getting into this kind of field? Because like this isn't like something like easy to talk about. You know, there's lots of strategies like how you were showing me yesterday, and lots of ways of doing it. Like how did you actually decide to delve into this?
Well, great question, man. It started back in high school. It didn't make sense for me to go to college for anything else rather than technology or being a lawyer or going to medical school. Because, there was a cap, accountant makes this much money, people make this much money. So I first thought, okay, let me just get into web development. And I was going to get into the more serious stuff, the more hacking, the more programming stuff. But then I realized, I was like, as logical as that is, I'm also an artist as well. So I started really studying just how to really work on the web. And now me growing up, of course, I was growing up in 2010. There was a huge shift in how the way people were promoting themselves and marketing themselves. And of course, people were just getting with Shopify and drop shipping and stuff like that. But I had to find my angle in the sense of how can I make money through this? Because I'm not trying to just sell products or teach people how to sell products all the time. My thing is I was like, how can I help their branding in a sense? So I started studying the web and started being more just put my focus on the web, and how just paying attention to people's websites. And I started looking on YouTube how to do it. And it was really interesting. What really got me just the first person, really client I was really working with on a day-to-day basis was Yogi Chris, And this is when I started getting into Yogi Chris is a brother, honorable brother in IMC Brotherhood, one of the highest honors. And the thing was that he contacted me and he just wanted just to really work on his website. And I was like, cool, that's no problem. And he was really the first guy that I was starting to understand people that I could really do freelance work rather than, of course, just get a job by itself. So then with him, I just started really working with him, seeing all the problems people really had with their websites and, trying to show him the way. So it began to me, I was like, man, I could really at the same time help him with his brand, but I see the fact that many people, they need somebody like me, who's artistic as well, but understands, the basics of web. So with the future, we've seen in the past 20 years how powerful websites really are. And I can continually see people coming up with ideas every single day. I decided that, okay, I'm not going to learn how to design a website for them specifically, but I'm going to learn how we can actually market their stuff, market who they are better. And most importantly, especially this is why I like being an apprentice of Yogi Chris, is the understanding sales as well. I can build a beautiful website, but if it's not moving, or if it's no sales happening, people just give up on the whole beautiful website that I created. So my start, it just started first off, was just trying to get a good job after college. But then if it's not a passion, that's something that you try to see your angle inside of any industry or what you're particularly good at in an industry, even if I was to combine marketing, sales, and computer, it's like a three-piece band, really. But at the same time, I'm trying to get them results because that's all people really care about in the end. So I learned so much just in the last recent years, how important web development really is and why people need to use it in their marketing. So that's why I decided to go that route and still explore, understanding of sales and marketing, as much as I can, because that always changes. It's been changing the last every year. Everybody has their own strategy. So it's really exciting to get into those fields and use them all together.
That's dope, man. And
Yeah.
I know everything complements each other. Like when you talk about ideas, because it's
Yeah.
one thing to think about a good idea, and then it's another thing to actually put it into action and get it going. And I guess really for anything, one of the biggest things that would stop someone is like, their fear, especially if they don't know how to do something. Like I've always wanted to talk about gloving, but I don't know how to build a website. And I think the thing that people miss is you can only do things yourself for so long, until you
Yeah.
actually need help from an external source or external person.
Yeah.
What's like a few misconceptions that you can give to people who are looking to get their idea out there on the internet or just in general?
The few misconception is one that you need to be super technical about things. We've seen I've seen websites, people build websites for so little money. But I think what's really interesting is that you don't have to be super technical. And if you want to build a website, there is websites builders that I've also learned how to use as well. I use for myself, even though I know how to script, code, I know all that reading code and all that stuff. When it comes to the fact that people want to get the idea out there and they want to manage their idea, they don't want to keep paying me to do it. But the way I've shown people who work with me is the idea that look, there's simple builders that you have, and then from then on there, you don't have to be so super technical. You just understand that we have tools nowadays that can help you find, first of all, the data that you need for your business. There's all kinds of tools that you have. And second of all, to manage the content on your own website, there's easier ways to do it, you know. And of course, we went over it yesterday. And also just understand the fact that how to get discovered. You know, I think that people, they start from there, because if you don't understand how people can search you, you're gonna give up. But you can, once you understand the process of that, then you get so addicted just to see what's the newest trends, the newest, newest ways to adapt into your culture, because that's what businesses do. That's why they pay not even money, a lot of time, to make sure that their meetings are effective, because they're just reacting towards, the situation. So I would say that, like I said, all the tools that we have to do what you want to do is very, very possible. You just got to you got to learn it. It's just, you got to not even have a desire to learn it. You got to have a need to learn it. When you replace it with just, I need to learn this, and you try to, you know, activate it out of yourself, that I need to just put my time into it, then you'll break the whole mold that you got to go to college for it. You got to be a nerd to understand this, which is not true. So for me, of course, I love setting up people, setting up the website for people and then showing them how to do it as easy as I can, because I'm trying to understand their language, not to bore them as well, but just to show them, like, look, I was into music heavy, and I still am. But me, as a guy who does music, I still do like the coding visual work as well. And of course, there's easier ways to do things. You just need to go out there and reach out. So yeah, like I said, there's just, the tools are there to help people out, and they just got to take a little bit of time. And also, you got to really believe in your idea, because if you really believe in it, but you don't want to learn it, then you're going to find the money to pay somebody. So just know that the tools are out there to help you out. It just depends on if you want to actually keep that idea, keep going.
That's beautiful, man. And I know yesterday I was saying how you're like a messenger for this kind of thing, because going into this, like, I knew nothing about coding, let alone website building,
Yeah,
or even like things about niche and all this data and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I remember you were talking about money versus the passion, because one can have passion for something so great, yet the audience might not really care for it. And in other words, someone just might want to make a lot of money by like selling masks or something. So
mm.
can you go a little bit, not too deep into it, but just a little bit into this whole money versus passion and what you were talking about yesterday?
Okay, yeah, definitely, man. Talking about, I think the money thing is always getting people motivated. If you're gonna use money, I'm just gonna give quick tips. If you're going the money route, then you have to understand to do your research really right. People can go there, but you got to do the research properly, and you got to be able to put money to make money in that situation. Because a lot of the times, there's, you can pay for services on Fiverr, to make your content, but you don't feel like making the content that day. So in the money route, yeah, you can get money quickly, but you also got to invest quickly as well. But the passionate route, to me, is a person, who really believes in what they got to share. Even if, doesn't matter if you're a fighter, you can sell gloves on your website. But the fact is, you're making these videos about fighting, and you put in your passion about fighting. You taught us videos about training. You're making content that you believe in, and that catches people more, better. But of course, people don't really like, and now it's going back to a little bit of the money situation. People don't really care about the story about masks. They just want to buy it really quickly, which is okay. That's fine. It is business. But with passion, it's important to understand that, your story is the reason why you're building the content. It's going to keep driving whatever that you have. But a lot of people give up on the money situation, or they don't know when to sell their big money idea. But with the passion idea, I mean, I think it's more of a great long-term spiritual healing kind of a journey, but it depends how passionate you really are. Are you really passionate to be patient, for it to take off in the next 2 or 3 months? So I believe those are just the two differences. But it's important to understand, the risks, and to understand the rewards of each one, and how sharp you got to be, and just really looking at what you're doing, the projection of what you're doing in the next couple of months. So it just depends on what kind of plan that you have. So I love both. You just got to play the game right.
Yo, and that's, every game has its rules as well.
Yeah.
With all this being said, is there any questions or comments? Monkey King, do you do this kind of stuff too?
Yes, I do. More so with consumer psychology, like I was telling Zay earlier.
Mm.
What makes people say yes is the same way girls say yes to us, right? That's
Mm.
how I'm in this group and why I'm in this group. Simply seeing how Arash is with his communication skills, I can apply that to work. I can apply that to the dojo or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And it goes down to NLP as well, neuro linguistic programming. Does this make sense so far?
Makes perfect
Oh yeah.
sense.
Yeah, it does. Mhm.
That's dope. And for those people who don't know, this is Tien, or also known as the Monkey King. And I'm definitely gonna have him in a future podcast episode for sure. Stay tuned, brother. And Zay, I understand that you're the founder of Studio Simba. I went on top the Instagram page and I noticed that you do like a little bit of mastering and stuff like that, like for music.
Yeah. Yeah, I do I do mixing and mastering. That was really uh I mean, is there any more questions after that? I can get into it. But do you have a question?
Yeah, like how'd you get into that?
Okay, cool. Okay. I thought you had a question
Dope.
under that. Look, for me, honestly, let's just say I always had a passion to do music. I love music, I really do. Of course, it's one of those things that I was thinking to do after college. But the idea that I made Studio Simba, really the story behind it was I was signing up for Diamond Mine for a Rogers class. And it was way back, like 3 years ago. And the thing was is that when I was signing up the class, I needed a new email. So I was like, okay, I got this new email. Let me just call it Studio Simba because I was thinking about that name, for a while now, before like 2 months before I even signed up. So when, I use it as a Gmail, but then I was like, I gotta really have my own service of, trying to show people how to mix and master, or just trying to help artists out with mixing and mastering. So in a sense, I looked at myself like a communication enhancer, whatever you give me, I can make it better, in terms of making music. But my, I wouldn't say my dreams was cut short, but it was a little disappointing to see that, they say you should go to college, pay $60,000 for it. But at the same time, you have to, it depends who you know. I'm like, I ain't got time for that, like, I don't want to be left out on the streets, $60,000 in debt. Then you tell me it depends who you know in the music industry. So of course, and I just got a job to support what I'm doing. But in the same time, I was so passionate about making music. So really on that Instagram, I have like 500 posts, I used to post of course, I used to post like twice every single day because that was really the passion that I liked for making music. But it graduated from just mixing and mastering because I do it for my brothers. He's a singer as well. I mix for him as well. Then I started really making music, but now I'm more focused on now the next direction of Studio Simba, really building websites for artists, for musicians, for podcasts, all audio services, and of course expanding some more because I won't say I'm not passionate to talk about mixing and mastering anymore, but now I got to really combine both worlds together. And I see that, okay, the niche is, especially being a web developer, is I can start making, yeah, thank you, Monkey King. I can start making websites for artists now. And one thing I like about web development, if everybody wants to get into it, as a fallback, I mean, I got everybody in my MC Nation. I know the resources that you need if you ever need a job with coding, it don't matter. And you can learn in a month, of course. So what was I saying? What I learned is that with my niche as a web developer, I wanted to focus on the artist. And the thing about being in the being a web developer is that you can actually take it to any different industry. You can focus on just the hemp industry. You can focus on the medical industry. But I was like, you know what? All these artists have really horrible websites. So let's talk about marketing first, and then we're going to talk about they need a website and part of it. So then I'm seeing how marketing yourself is important because we're not trying to be starving artists, and I'm not just trying to just sell them a pretty website and they have no direction. So it started off, of course, the love of making audio, and I still am gonna. I'm actually working on a project right now. I'm gonna release it November. Yeah, because I just love making music. But I realized that ain't no point of being a starving artist no more. If I can help them with their website as much as I can, and I'm getting into different ventures right now like Shopify, and I seen all my favorite artists use Shopify. So I'm like, dude, I'm gonna learn Shopify. I'm gonna tell them, look, J. Cole uses Shopify, you should use Shopify too. And then they'll be way more motivated to now get their music mixed, now find beats. So I gotta prepare for them, on the experience I do have, but now I gotta reel them in and give them a whole nother different services and combine it with the skills I already have. So that's where I started with Studio Simba, and I'm still moving forward with it, of course. But now I got to strategize differently. But I can see how I can help people out because there's so many tools, like I said, that we have nowadays. We just got to make the artists look good, and use those same tools, and then they can flourish as well. But also, it's just having the right state of mind. So I'm glad I'm into Stoic philosophy. I'm glad I'm into IMC Nation and all the mental aspects they have, because the mental aspect is freeing them up. If I can really give them philosophies as well, this is another form of content I can really give to them. Because I know artists, they can have all the things I can sell them, but their state of mind is just whatever. So I got to be the example in that sense. But now I'm really focusing my niche, of course, to be focusing on artists.
I like that, man, because what stands out, at least to me, is that you actually take pride in your work. I come from a musical background as well. I used to play drums for a band, went through the whole, band thing, record a song, whatever. And of course, things didn't work out. But for anybody really, like as someone's story goes on, they tend to learn things as they experience what they experience and they take it with them. I feel like when you were doing Studio Simba, there's lots of things that you learned that you took with you, not only in like your work, but like what to actually do. Like there's like a almost like a technical aspect that you have to yourself, something that I can actually relate with, but in a
Mm.
different kind of way. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, I would say that's very accurate, man. I mean, technique is for the artist and it's for the coder. It's for everybody. That's what separates everybody. It depends on your technique. Even in breaking, you got to be technical. So I'm a technical guy, but I believe I was gifted as an artist. I was born an artist. I was born with all this imagination, but then now you got to communicate it, and it don't matter what kind of imagination you got. If you can't communicate it with the techniques, you can't work on those techniques, it's just going to be ideas in your head. So I would say, yeah, I'll definitely view myself as technical if I answer your question.
That's freaking dope. Freaking dope.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly don't have anything else like in my head right now. So if there's any questions or even comments or questions for Zay, for me, for TN, you just unmute.
Hey, brother, thank you so much for this podcast, man. This is really cool. I got something for Zay. Do you use WordPress or anything else other than Shopify? Because I know the simplicity of Shopify, how it's like, everything is under umbrella. It's very quick to crank out really fast websites, yet they take a certain commission out when you sell stuff from it, correct? So I like to bypass all that and have my own platform with the WordPress. Is this all making sense?
Oh yeah,
Like
it makes sense. Yeah.
So have you ever messed with WordPress yet? And what do you think about that?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've worked with WordPress. Of course, it's been in and out the last 2 years for me with WordPress, but the last 6 months I've been so focused on it because the IMC Base One website is built off of WordPress. And one thing I like about WordPress is that it depends what hosting you really buy. It's so easy to set up. They put it in your plan of the hosting. So I honestly, I love Shopify. Shopify, I can make the designs look good, and I'm gonna start selling those designs later on. But in terms of actually you owning your own product, you owning your own database, of course, I would definitely go with WordPress because we've seen what happened, even with the president of the United States got kicked out of Shopify, because Shopify works with Instagram and works with Facebook. So they all got to fall together. So, man, WordPress, yeah, I've used WordPress. WordPress, I highly recommend it. It's 30% of the web, of the whole web. So it's really bigger than Facebook, if you ask me. So yeah, I know I'm familiar with WordPress, and it's so easy to set up and it's easy to teach as well. Yeah.
Thank you,
I,
brother.
yes,
Do you
sir.
have a portfolio where we can check out your past work or anything? Where can we get more from you?
Yeah, man. You can, of course, you can go on my Instagram, Zay Wila, and go to the link over there. But the website I have is thehoseakigwilla.com. Of course, I use that just for future clients and future job offers, whatever. But in there, I have the IMC Base One page. I have the Yogi Chris, and I'm working on more websites, making them look good. And I want basically everybody in IMC Nation to use WordPress, and everybody has been using WordPress. So just check out some of the guys. Check out Yogi Chris. He has website. Sultan, I worked with him. Now IMC Base One, that's one of them. So yeah, hoseakigwilla.com. That's where it is.
Hell yeah. And for people who are don't have time to do these kind of things like build a web page, you can just contact you for your services, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll set it up for you. It just takes less than an hour to do it, but we'll set it up and we'll just get you started.
Yeah. Well, with all that being said, I think I'll end this podcast a little bit short. Is there anything else you want to say, brother? Any last words for the audience?
Well, what I can say is, first of all, it's a blessing to be a part of this podcast, be amongst brothers is always a blessing because, we're all like-minded individuals and we just try to share with each other, communicate with each other the best way we can to help each other's like dreams go forth. And for me, man, I would just say to the audience, just get your ideas out there. Don't wait on the idea. If you have a desire to come out with it, it's different than you need to come out with this idea. And there's all these tools that's available for you. You can look at the competition. Yes, we went over how to even look at your competition's data if they needed to, but
Yeah.
just understand that you matter. If you have something that you're passionate about, talk about passion versus money. If that's something you're passionate about, then you should definitely talk about it. I know I'm sounding like Gary Vee, but I make the websites actually, and I see the fact that what happened when Facebook went down and people lost so much money. They had a website that would have done much better. If they had an email, they'd do so much better. So you should just focus on your branding, because if you're a branding guy, focus on other aspects than just social media, and it's very easy to do. You don't get intimidated by all this other stuff, and there's great sources out here, so we shouldn't take advantage of them. We live in a great era where even the top developers have tools that are already built by even higher developers. So just get your idea out there and just put in the work and make your idea come to life. But you're the son of all your ideas. You create all of those. You need to be the person that's producing constantly. So just know that it's easier now to do everything, and everything you find on YouTube. So just take advantage of this time that we have in this digital era.
Hell yeah. And to add on to that, as they was saying, if you got something to talk about, if you have a passion for it, then do talk about it. Just know that eventually you will hit a plateau where you're gonna need help from the outside. You can only go so far trying to do something on your own. It's called a mastermind. And if you haven't heard of it, then you should look it up. Napoleon Hill talks about it in his book Think and Grow Rich. It's about getting together with people with like-minded ideals or goals and actually working together to what you said to create something bigger. With that being said, I'll see you guys on the next episode. This is the Flow Discourses podcast. Os.